Hey everyone, and welcome to the Adam Kiss Show. Today I'm really excited to be talking to you about Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard, known in French as A Bout de Souffle. It's a great French movie, and I'm really excited to talk to you about it, especially because when I first saw this movie, it definitely wasn't my favorite movie. I probably didn't quite get it when I first saw it the very first time. I still enjoyed it. I still felt that there was something special about it, but it's one of those movies that's perhaps an acquired taste, or perhaps it's one of those movies that you either love it or you hate it. There are certain things that people feel put off by certain aspects of it, like some of the rough filmmaking and things like that. And I think that that's really what adds to its charm. I think it's an absolute gem of a movie. It's obviously very well known. It's often considered one of the greatest films ever made, certainly in the top 100, I would say often. Certainly one of the greatest French films made by one of the greatest French filmmakers who just died recently. Godard, I believe he died within the last few years. And it was made in 1960, so it's incredible that he was actually still alive up until a few years ago. So he's definitely one person that I would have loved to have met if the chance had presented itself, but alas, that's not how life always works out. Life often has other plans, let's say. But before we get into talking more about Breathless, I want to take a minute to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, like, comment below what other videos you'd like me to do, and feel free to share this video with your friends, relatives, enemies, all your social media followers, anybody you know. Feel free to share this video, and let's get right into Breathless. So Breathless from 1960, starring Jean-Paul Belmondo, with Gene Seberg, directed by Godard. Now, right away, those are all legends in cinema today, but in those days, not as much. Gene Seberg, she had not been doing so well in her early career. A lot of her films had not been so financially successful, which spurred her to do kind of an extremely low-budget independent movie like this. I mean, this was definitely a big step down from polished Hollywood productions. Godard famously, I believe he remarked that he was trying to make the least expensive movie in history. I mean, obviously it's not the case, but it was made for a relatively low budget. I've made several low-budget short films, and I just finished my feature film, My Last Words, so I know a thing or two about making films in that kind of style. Now, my film in particular, I definitely didn't want to go the route of Breathless in terms of making it purposely rough cinematography. I kind of went the opposite way and decided to go as polished as I could and really make my film look like a multi-million-dollar film. That was really the goal for me. But in terms of Breathless, the technology wasn't there at the time. Plus, the goal was to make it more documentary style. In terms of my recent film, I was going for the opposite. I was going for a very polished style, a very seamless, very artistic, but very, very seamless, I would say. You know, very, very polished, which fit in with the story I was telling. But now Breathless, it's kind of to be told in a documentary style. It's you're kind of meant to feel immersed in that world as if it's really happening. Jean-Paul Belmondo, he plays a crook. Gene Seberg plays his girlfriend, his, I guess, on-again, off-again girlfriend, I should say. Something like that. It's complicated, I guess. But anyway, so he gets in some trouble, long story short, stealing a car. He ends up killing a policeman, and then he ends up visiting his girlfriend in Paris, and he wants to go away with her to Italy to escape the law. And that's essentially the long and short of it. I don't want to get into too many specifics to give you any spoilers. But again, it's a very dialogue-heavy movie. It's not necessarily all about the plot. The plot is there as the framework. But other than that, you know, there's a lot of deep discussions. It's really about more than that plot. That plot essentially serves as a modest framework for what the movie's really about, which is about human connections and all of that stuff. I'm a big fan of Jean-Paul Belmondo. I think he's certainly one of my favorite actors, one of my favorite French actors. I've loved him in a lot of movies. Another movie that I really loved him in was The Professional from 1981, I believe. And again, that's an incredible movie. That's about an assassin. I won't get into too many details about that because we're not talking about that. But I've seen several of his films. En femme est en femme, which I believe is translated to A Woman is a Woman. I've seen Pierrot le Fou. What else have I seen? I've seen so many of his films up to his ears. So again, I've kind of seen a lot of the Belmondo films. Um, Belmondo and Alain Delon, I suppose, were the two big names in French cinema at the time. They actually did a movie together, which I saw. Um, so that was interesting as well. But the point is, with Breathless, this was his first, kind of star-making performance. He'd done a bunch of stuff before then, but this was kind of his biggest break. He had known Godard previously, which was how he got the part. When he accepted the part, there was no real script. There was kind of an outline of the film, and that's kind of the way that Godard liked to work. He didn't like to necessarily write the full script and stick to it. He kind of sometimes liked to improvise a little bit, do the script the night before, do it the day of, give it to them then. From what I know of him, he liked to work that way, certainly in this film, if not in all of his films, but that was certainly a little bit of his personality. Godard was obviously, is kind of, in a certain way, lumped in with Godard and Truffaut in terms of the French New Wave. They're often kind of spoken of in the same sentence. They're both great. I find them both great. Some people like one or the other better. I honestly like both of them. I think that they were both incredible. Again, it's always interesting to me when somebody doesn't like Godard but likes Truffaut, or likes Truffaut but likes Godard. They're obviously very different. They have their very different styles. They had very different ideologies. I mean, they ended up falling out later in life over their beliefs and ideologies, and I don't believe they ended up speaking until Truffaut died in the 1970s, I believe he died. And then Godard lived until recently, and they actually never ended up making up. But the point is that the story for Breathless was originally Truffaut's idea, but after he was very happy with the success of the 400 Blows, Godard kind of begged him for this story, that he wanted to do this particular story. This kind of, I'm guessing that Truffaut wrote a treatment or something, and that Godard kind of took it over from there. And so this came right after the 400 Blows, which is another movie that I like. Of the two, I would say that I prefer Breathless to the 400 Blows, but I love them both. I think they're both incredible. And yeah, I mean, Breathless then was kind of in the early stages a collaboration between Truffaut and Godard. But after that initial stage, Godard took it over and Truffaut didn't have any more say in the film. He famously disagreed with the ending, where, a spoiler alert, I should say, because I have to say this here, Belmondo's character, Michel, he ends up being shot and killed he ends up being shot and killed at the end of the film. And that was something that Truffaut didn't agree with. Truffaut maybe had a little bit more of an optimistic sense in a certain way than Godard could have, a little bit more of that gritty, negative sense. And I love both of them, and they both obviously did a varied school of work, and they both did all different kinds of films. And in particular, I love all their black and white films. I mean, in a certain way, with those French New Wave films, with those Italian films, Fellini, all those films from Italy and France in the 1950s, 1960s. I really love how they're all in. I love them when they're in black and white, especially. Just for the style, in a certain way, it almost those films almost would be lessened if they were in color. Whereas there's other films in color that you can't imagine in black and white, like Singing in the Rain. I mean, I can't imagine that in black and white. I'm not sure. There's so many other films out there that either I can't imagine in black and white or I can't imagine in color. But perhaps that's just because they've been out there so long, and here I am talking about them and reviewing them so many years later as if they just came out now. But I mean, that's another aspect to my personality, is that I absolutely love all these old films. I love talking about old cinema, old films, and I really talk about them as if they're new. I have that same excitement as if they're coming out now. I definitely have more excitement for those kind of films than I do for a lot of the films coming out now. And again, I think that's a wonderful thing. They really inspire me tremendously. All right, so that's Breathless by Godard. I hope you enjoyed listening to that. It's definitely one of my favorite films. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, like, share, comment below what other videos you'd like me to do, and follow me on all social media. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the social media platforms. I'm out there. In the meantime, that's all, folks.